streamer. But eek the cat indeed. Eek the cat. Donald Trump filed a brief. He wants to pause the law until he takes office, which is exactly what TikTok is asking the Supreme Court to do. The Supreme Court is acting like they're going to hurry up and take this case, and they weren't convinced by the free speech argument, and I don't know if they're allowed to consider any other arguments if the fucking lawyer doesn't say, well, it's also a right to contract, and there's other freedoms in the Constitution which he could fucking point to. If you tremble with indignation at every injustice, then you are a comrade of mine. Let the world change you, and then you could change the world. The people must liberate themselves. Real revolutionaries are fueled by love, not rage. The kind of love that fights for others and uplifts the oppressed and sparks transformation. We can't be sure of having something to live for unless we know that we're willing to die for it. So I don't know if the TikTok users are willing to die for it, but Jack Nader, you're making $1,000 to $12,000 a month. You're doing fucking good. It took 1.5 years for him to amass his following, for eventually to get everybody fucking following him and listening to him. Now he can pay for his apartment and pay for his groceries. Is these assholes in here for the working class, or are they against the working class? There's a billionaire, Frank McCourt. He's proposed a deal. He owns Project Liberty, and he says that the internet is broken. That's why Project Liberty, he invested $100 million in. Now he invested $500 million. Because, you know, when you got $400 million extra, why the fuck not, you know? Kevin O'Leary, some Shark Tank guy, and Frank McCourt has proposed a deal to TikTok. They will buy TikTok, America's TikTok, for $20 billion. What do they get with $20 billion? They'll buy TikTok servers in America. TikTok can just take their servers out of America, too. They don't have to store their data in fucking Massachusetts. They can store the data in goddamn Timbuktu. I don't see the big deal about making TikTok separate from ByteDance. If they do separate, then they can still keep on operating in the United States. I think this is for YouTube, which is owned by Google or Instagram. Facebook, which is owned by Meta. YouTube also owns Alphabet, which is where YouTube Shorts come from. And this does kind of seem a little fucking racist just against a Chinese company. What? There's a company that's owned by the Chinese government? Or no, not the government. It's owned by Chinese fucking private investors? They've denied any wrongdoing. They deny that they have a relationship with China's government. So you have a private company that come to, like Toyota, they come into America and they're able to kick ass. They're able to take a bunch of supplies, produce a truck, take American labor, produce a vehicle, and then they're able to sell that vehicle on American markets. And somehow they're able to do it better than Americans can do. I think that is a slap in the face for us. But if you don't have banks that are going to fucking lend you any damn money, and you got a bunch of billionaires all throughout the world, so let the billionaires come in. They'll spend $1 billion for a bunch of fucking buildings, and then now we got to be slaves to those fucking private investors. That's bullshit too. There's some accusation about them spying on journalists. There's propaganda. There's mishandling of user data. And then they're tracking sensitive words. Oh, okay. So the NSA, they're not tracking sensitive words, mishandling our data. I'm sure Bloomberg has taken our cookies and they're just doing a great job with the user data that Bloomberg is fucking, give me a fucking break. American corporations, American internet companies, they're not handling user data any fucking better. Spying on journalists? What is spying on journalists? So they put out a TikTok video and you watch their video and then you're like, oh, I'm spying on them. Are they turning on the fucking cameras while they're asleep or some shit? Because in that some NSA, fucking FBI, goddamn CIA shit. Donald Trump has flip-flopped, but you know what? I'll take it. He was for the ban, now he's against the ban. All right. Well, it took a while for him to evolve, but now he's on the right side of history. It probably has to do with Jeff Yass. Jeff Yass is a billionaire who owns shares in Truth Social, which is Donald's fucking little social media company. So he probably talked to Jeff Yass, a billionaire, and he also owns shares in TikTok. Patreon too. People might go to Patreon. And then what's Aaron Mate use? What's that where you could just type some shit up? Where you could type your articles. Fuck, I can't even remember that platform. That's terrible. Substack. So people might go to that Substack. And then what's that one where people would take like little clips of things? Fucking shit. So TikTok won't disappear off of users' smartphones. It's going to stop Google and Apple from allowing downloads. They could try to force ISPs to block TikTok, but there's a lot of ISPs. So that means they'll have to enforce a lot of ISPs to block TikTok. Instead of just telling Apple and Google to not allow the downloads, if they're going to go after the ISPs, they're going to have to go all throughout America, and then people can still use VPNs, virtual private networks. Which that's a perfect way to get around censorship. That's a perfect way to get around the government law. Use a virtual private network, and then when you sign online, it's like, oh, well, you're from the fucking Chinese government. Well, Chinese government, Chinese people could certainly get TikTok, a Chinese company, or you're from Mongolia or Germany or whatever. So using a VPN is a way to get around the law. And even if they sell TikTok, they won't sell the algorithm. So they'll sell the servers. The U.S. portion of TikTok will go to Frank McCourt and Kevin O'Leary, or maybe this Jeff Yass. And hell, why don't America just nationalize it? Don't we need a social media fucking, just a damn thing for America? Shouldn't we be allowed to have a bank account to the Federal Reserve? That's our fucking bank. America's bank is the Federal Reserve, but we can't just get a damn account straight with the Federal Reserve. We got to go to these private fucking banksters. So even though TikTok has a lot of users and viewers, 115 million active users, and then 170, total users, and then the creators. They're kicking ass with the creators. But I want to say that Facebook had like 280 million users, and then YouTube had like, 100, 200, some shit. So there's other companies that's got more active users or more total users. But man, even with fucking YouTube, they do about subscribers. So if you get 1,000 subscribers, then you think that that's an individual person who signed up for TikTok. Regular people are not signing up for YouTube just to be a fucking commenter. They're not just being a commenter on other people's. If you're a creator, it makes sense to sign up for YouTube because you got ways to create things. But if you're just a watcher of YouTube, you don't really need to fucking sign up for YouTube, right? Unless you want to just type in comments and shit. When I look at all the comments in YouTube, a lot of those comments goes to some fucking account that doesn't post any video, that has no information about them. They don't have a picture or nothing. It makes me think that there's a bunch of YouTube farms out there. And if there's a bunch of YouTube farms out there, then that means your subscribers has nothing to do with people liking your content and wanting to get your content. Because people keep on pushing subscriptions, but it's like once I subscribe once to you, I can't subscribe no more. And you're like, I got 100,000 subscribers, or yeah, maybe some fucking Russia YouTube farm is, pushing you and your fucking bullshit for some reason. So even if Project Liberty buys the servers for TikTok, they're not going to be able to buy the algorithm. So they're going to protect their intellectual property. Project Liberty believes that the internet is broken because a lot of companies are essentially stealing your information, and that's how they're making money off of you. And they're correct on that. They are absolutely correct on that. I think the national security threat is overblown. whatever information you post in, they could take it, and then since the company has your fucking data, let's go back to